Welcome to Martini Time. Here it is on Monday. It's been a beautiful day in Blackstone, the center of the world, but then you too are the center of the world. You know, I keep saying this because the paradigm for let's say the internet is a paradigm for the reality that we're missing. Okay, when I say I'm the center of the world and you're the center of the world, that is the truth, but not in our Western materialistic map of reality. There is no center of the world in that, you see. In the scientific map of reality, there is no center. It used to be in the Middle Ages, the Earth was the center, but then Copernicus and Galileo messed up that. And then man used to be the center, but then evolution messed up that. So there is no center. And that's why we're lost. We've got no center. We've got no center. Everything is, we're in free fall. Mere anarchy is loosed, says the poet Yeats. The center is lost. The center is lost, you see. And that's the anxiety that's free today with Trump and what's happening in America. And it's not just Trump. He just fits into it. So, you know, the new paradigm, I've talked about this before, the new paradigm, here's my timer, but is this, you see, we love the internet because in the internet, we are the center of the universe. When you have one of these, or a computer, this thing here is the center of the internet universe. It's an alternative reality, of course, but every time if you have one of this, you are the center. And you create, this is created by the internet and it creates the internet. There's an interactive creator-created flow and exchange when you have one of these. So this is like a pseudo-truth, you see. Because the real truth that we are, each one of you is the center of the universe, is the truth, but it doesn't fit our map, our reality map that was created in the Enlightenment with Locke and Newton, Descartes, the scientific objective map that everything is stuff in space and time, and you can measure everything. If you can't measure it and weigh it, it doesn't exist. So only stuff exists in this space-time flat world of time, past, future, Big Bang at the end, when the sun blows up in the future, or whatever, you see. But it's all flat. There's no center. There's no you in it, except as a thing. So anyway, I come to these talks, to get a martini and jump off the edge of the earth. So when I come here, I jump off the map. The title of this talk is Speak But Your Word. Okay, now what is with the W, the word? The Bible says the word is God, the word is with God, the word is God. Speak but the word, my soul will be healed. What is the word? The other day I was talking, the other night, I was talking about God as a verb. So this is a different paradigm here. See, so a verb is action. So God is action. And you don't see action is timeless. Action is in the timeless now. Action is always now. It's not yesterday or tomorrow. You can imagine yesterday's action, and you can imagine something happening in the future, but that doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is now. And so now is a verb. But when we translate now into the map of our mind, which is a cultural map with a social ego in it, which is who you believe you are, we're conditioned to believe that we are a social ego, a social person. We have a place map. People know us, got a history, a profile. That's who we think we are. But see, that is on a placemat. That is on a map, you see. And it's not who you are. So we don't know who we are. And that's the truth. When you are action, you don't know who you are. I just know you're just the Nike commercial. You're just doing it. I'm doing it. That's who I am. I'm doing it. I'm doing me. So you see what we're looking at here. When you're just doing you, there's no resistance to you because there's no image. An image is not doing anything. When you're actually doing life, when you're speaking your word, when you are the word, and when the word is God, there is no image. There is no noun. There is no object, no subject. There's just a verb. You're just doing it. You're just doing life, you see. But we can't do that. Why? Because we're conditioned and frozen in a self-image, in time, space, that's got to get somewhere, or running from someplace. Everything is a reaction. Everything is anxiety. Everything is, I got to get there. I got to fix it. I got to fix the country. I got to fix myself. I got to fix it, you see, because it's not right now. But right now is just a verb. Right now is always just action, you see. So our map is a grammatical, semantic map that's structured. Our reality is structured by our grammar. Subject, verb, object. Subject does something to an object. That's the way we perceive the world. Many languages, not many, but some languages, pre-literal languages, don't have any nouns. It's just verbs. And I understand that the ancient Hebrews when they said that God was the word, God was an action. A function, an action, not a thing. You see, it was later that God became a thing. So we don't even really understand the Hebrews. If they're speaking, if their language, if their grammar is different and has no nouns, it's just verbs, you see. So, but if you go into Buddhism, Kashmir Shaivism, Vedanta, these are pre-literate traditions that see life as action, not as a bunch of things bumping around each other like bumper cars. See, that's the Newtonian universe. That was created by Newton in the scientific revolution. It created the ability to control things and make stuff, predict and control the future, which is based on fear, you see. When there's no fear, you're just a verb. You're just action. There's no self doing it. But we can't even compute that. What do you mean, no self? Who am I if I'm not an image? Who am I if I'm not something with a name, profile, past, future, a line you can say, I began there, and I don't know, I'll end there sometime. See, we think in terms of that, within a grammatical structure. We can't, that's the assumption that precedes perception. That's the assumption that perception is not aware of, that perception can't perceive, you see, because that assumption is the operating system of our perception, and perception is reality. So when we perceive the world as subjects doing things to objects, when we perceive the world that way, that's what it is. Any alternative doesn't exist. This happens in childhood. Up to the age of 7, if a child sees a spirit and he says, "Look, Mommy," and the mother says, "There's nothing there." And the child looks at the mother and he's DNA programmed to obey the mother and to fit into her culture and her reality map. He stops seeing spirits. He won't see them anymore. They won't exist for him. Because the map doesn't allow it, you see. So if the map doesn't allow something that doesn't fit on the map, it does not exist. Period. You cannot see it. And we see this all the time in when somebody crime announces everything, So what we believe we saw is what we see. And if there was something that did not fit our preconceived perception, our belief, we didn't see it. And so a lot of mysteries are all about discovering the clues and evidence that other people couldn't see. So whether the detective, the mystery goes, well, the immature detective says, oh, he did it. That evidence points to that person, wrap it up. And the master detective says, wait a minute, there's something here that doesn't fit. What about that? Well, I forget. No, let's get a bigger boat. Let's get a bigger map, you see. So the evolution of consciousness itself is getting a bigger boat, is seeing what is not seen, is connecting the dots and leaping beyond the common perception of reality. Who can leap beyond the common perception of the normal? See, the normal reality. And everybody just lives and focuses in the normal. And we just talk about stuff within that. And that's safe. But we don't see what's outside of that. We don't want to see. But we feel anxious because we're missing something. We're a little contracted, little tight, you see. Something, we're not seeing everything. I'm not everything I can be. My potential is crammed up, you see. So when you become a verb, you are free potential. A free verb, free action, with no controlling self-image, you see. The image is a controller. The image, our self-image, is in relationship to reality, to culture, and culture to it. In the same way that the cell phone is the center of the internet, and the cell phone acts on the internet, and the internet acts on this. So our self-image is the center of culture, and culture acts on me, and I act on culture. But culture is an abstraction. Culture is an alternate reality. Culture is a map that's been built and collected by our civilization and fed into and maintained to support our self-image. And when children are born, we indoctrinate them into that culture, and they get a self-image and a name, and they spend their life trying to discover their potential. But their potential doesn't fit the map. The map's too small. It's baby clothes. It's children clothes, and we want to grow out of that. Well, my potential is greater than this. But I can't find it because I'm tape looped back into a self-image that's supported by family and culture. We all feel this. You go home, you develop a business, and you have all this discovery, and you go home, and you're just Eddie. You're just who you were when you left home. They don't know who you are. You're too big for that now, but you have to contract back into it, you see. So that's a common experience, When you go back to your hometown and everybody's still talking about the same thing when you left, and you've become so much bigger, You see, anyway, the same way with books. You read an old spiritual book, and you read it 10, 20 years later, and you discover so much in it, because you've expanded so much, you see. So this idea, what we're investigating here, is the idea, the possibility that you are a verb. Now, a verb, if you ask a verb who they are, they can't say, I don't know. Why? Because it's constantly moving. A verb doesn't stand still. Nouns stand still. Nouns stand still, and they get put in the dictionary. Or you get put on your Facebook profile page. or in your resume. There you are. And you keep adding to it, you see. But still, it's defined. And you know yourself that your resume does not include who you are. You're a living being. The resume is a butterfly smacked in a book, dead. The resume is dead. Your self-image is a butterfly compressed in a cultural book, dead, you see. But you are alive, and what's alive is action. To be alive is to act. But you can't be alive if you're acting from a self-image that is created by and supported by you and your culture. That's why people like to go abroad, you see, because you get to see your culture from another culture, and you say, wow, my culture sucks. And then you go back, and you get this some kind of culture lag, you got to fit back into this thing again after being in some really blissful Costa Rica or someplace, So, feel contracted again. You feel the stress coming back. You feel the anxiety coming back. And you were so free, But you put the clothes back on, you see. So this whole spiritual path that I'm on, that you're on, if you're listening to this, you're on one. If you're not listening to this, it's because you have no interest in it. So if you're interested in exploring, if you're interested in getting a bigger boat, if you're interested in understanding the map and the culture that compresses you into a book, like a flower, a dead flower, then you feel like, and the anxiety that we feel is the feeling you get when you're pressed into a book. It's the feeling you have when you're being denied your potential and you don't know where it is, because the map doesn't allow it. The cultural map doesn't allow you to be a verb. You got to be a noun. You got to be named and labeled, and you got to be put in a book, a history book, a grave. There you are as a tombstone. That's it. But the living word, you see, is timeless. The living word is with God, and the living word is God. And so my Muktananda, my guru, would say, God dwells within you as you see. Now that's not a noun. God doesn't dwell within you as a noun. What, is there a little statue of God inside? A little image in there somewhere, you see? No. Are you an image? Are you a statue? Are you frozen in time? No. You're a verb. You're alive, you see. You're a living verb, you see. So verbs are alive because they don't stop moving. So the word of God is a verb. It's not a noun. It's a living word. The living word means action, and it's not somebody living word in the past. That's what we do. We make God safe. Put him in a book, put him in the past, put him in the future. No problem, you see. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to get a bigger boat. We don't have to become a verb now. We're all supporting each other in our righteous self-image. Well, I'm a Christian, I'm a Buddhist, that's a self-image. And then we get with the group and we all do amen. And then we go fight another group and feel strong. Feel righteous. You see. It's all self-image. It's all nouns. It's all grammar, you see. So throw the grammar in the trash and just be a verb. And it's not, you have to really play with it. I'm doing that here. That's why I do Facebook Live. I'm a verb here. I'm free here. I'm just speaking my word. You see. So I inform myself when I speak. Who am I? I don't know. I'm finding out as I talk to you. You see? And that's liberating. That's joyous. There's laughter to be free. To be liberated from the nouns and the labels and the definitions and the contraction and the anxiety and the stress. There's no stress in being a verb. Everything's a verb. When you're a verb, it's not like you're against other verbs. You're all one verb acting together. That's love. verb is a love. There's only, you see, a verb, there's only one universe, and it's all acting together as one action. But we perceive it as a bunch of nouns. We perceive it as in the operating system or the framework of our grammar. It's all nouns doing things to other nouns. But that's just a cultural construct that we use in order to catch a bus and go to work. But it's not the truth. It's a cultural convention, but we have believed it's the truth, you see. It's a cultural convention so we can get along and go to the store and do all these things, and people will know you and say, "Hi, Ed," and they know me because they saw me yesterday and all that. I mean, that's all important, but that's like living. This culture is like, our culture is like an orange, and we're living on the orange peel, and we don't believe there's any juice inside or any pulp. There's no inside. There's nothing there. We're all living on the surface, on the orange. And if somebody goes inside and taps into the juice, they come back and say, "Wait, you don't have to keep eating orange peels. There's juice down there." They say, "You're crazy. There's nothing here but orange peels. You're excommunicated. You're unfriended. You're burned at the stake. You say, how dare you say there's juice beneath the peel?" It's like this lemon twist, you see, right? The twist is there's a lemon underneath the peel. Thank you for dropping in. But peel back the culture and discover the juice. Discover the verb.